Hi, my name is Sunil Yadav. Uh, we will take you through how we are envisaging the solutions and conceptualizing uh, the ways and means to help our clients transform the finance function in a much efficient and better ways. As far as I'm concerned, I've been working with Mind Solutions since last 8 years into the domain of industry research and solutions for complete finance and accounting outsourcing vertical here. My primary responsibilities are to understand the requirement of a client, to ideate a solution, to work with the teams in the back end to perfect that solution, and then go back to the client and present that solution with all kind of value-added benefits that we can provide. Moving on, as far as Mind is concerned, we are a part of Mind Group. We have entities such as Mind Integrated. Mind Integrated is the one that I represent, and then we also have M1 Exchange, which is a trade receivable exchange discounting system under the license from RBI. And recently, we have also launched an NBFC by the name M2. So we have a service wing that I'm representing, then we have a trades wing, and then we also have an NBFC. When we talk about our experiences, it's been 18 years. We are into this field of finance and accounting outsourcing and HRO outsourcing end to end. Moving forward, I'm talking about very high level transformation objectives, not exactly the finance transformation objectives. But what I'm saying is that for any transformation, there are certain objectives that someone or an organization sets. They can be broadly bifurcated into predictability. You need a lot of predictability into the process, no more surprises. Scalability, which is extremely important when the organization is fast growing, and also in the situations such as we are right now in this pandemic. So a very flexible process is highly appreciated. Simplified, of course, the main function of any transformation, automation, or technology is to simplify the work, not to further complex it. Accuracy, of course, I would say how strong is the delivery, how best it is helping our clients and the employees of our clients and the clients of our clients depend upon how accurate and timely is the output. And then, of course, in the end, it all boils down to what we are adding to the profitability of the organization. When I'm saying I'm talking about anyone who takes the initiation to go through the transformation in their particular function or organization. In the end, it boils down as per us to four major pointers. One is productivity. Of course, it is about doing important that too consistently. Second is about future readiness, which is very important. If this pandemic has taught us something, then it is to be ready for what you can imagine or predict, or I would say more so for something what you really cannot predict. And then efficiency, the core of any transformation and automation. It is as per us, it's the optimum way of doing the right things, or I would say it's the optimum way of being productive. Just being productive is not enough. And then we are talking about visibility and control. It means, as I mentioned here, seeing is believing. When you see the data in front of you, when you see the analytics in front of you, which is completely transparent, driven by machine, which is the data is standardized, it is on your fingertips. You want any kind of analytics, you have it on demand. That is something that brings in a lot of belief within yourself that how your department or organization is doing. One is belief that you are on the right track. Second is ensuring that you do not deviate from that track, and that's what we call control. So controlling is ensuring, seeing is believing. When we talk about account payables, the opportunities are again enormous. As per a study, you can see here by Ardent Partners, the study says roughly 22% of your team's time goes into just responding to your vendors. 40% of their time goes into managing the hard copies, which comes from vendor. Then you check it vis-a-vis the hard copies of POs or the contract. 51% of the invoices take higher than the tech time, which is a huge, huge inefficiency sitting. 61% of exceptions, there are no POs available, or POs are to be modified, or certain payments have to be done on priority, or certain vendor is asking about their payment to be done on priority. So there are multiple exceptions that happen, and they go into the ratio of up to 61%, huge number. 42% roughly completely manual processes. There are certain automations and tools that, of course, organizations have deployed. The traditional ERP system does help there, but still, roughly 50% of it still remains manual. And all the figures I'm showing you are the results of that 50% or more than 50% manual process. This is a typical payable process. On your left-hand side, again, starting from an SCM, the PO gets, the purchase request comes, PR to PO cycle happens. Of course, it takes certain time. From there, the purchase orders are then going to all the vendors. All the vendors are then accepting them on the emails, which takes time. To multiple users. And then you have a lot of crisscross in terms of certain invoices are coming on mail, certain invoices are coming on hard copy, and you do need hard copy even for the compliances purposes, even as of now. Of course, that is now changing with e-invoicing and all other things the government of India is doing. But as of now, that's the situation. A lot of back and forth in terms of when user is approving it, sending it to HOD. Then there are PO amendments which are required. Then PO amendments take time. And during that, your vendor is becoming more and more, I would say, dissatisfied. Patience is now at the rock bottom. They're not getting their payments. They start talking to the users. They start talking to the HODs. They start talking even to the finance teams. And what that does, a lot of work I was talking about in the previous slide, 22% of the time goes into just replying, reading, and going through the emails. And then finally, it goes to the ERP for the accounting, TDS accounting, and then of course, the final payment happens. This brings in longer PR to PO cycles, complex PO amendments. Vendor communication is a big lack in these kind of processes. A lot of dissatisfaction comes about just because of lack of communication. There is a manual onboarding of the vendors. There is manual PO acceptance, which again take time, as I was talking about. Multiple modes of invoice submission, couriers, emails. It's very hard to keep track of. There is a process translucency when you talk about from the point of view of vendor. Are they able to see the entire process? Do they know where their invoice is? It's highly unstructured this way. Many duplicate payments, last minute PO amendments. You have very, very high exceptionalism into the process. Excel-based reporting, again, there is a very high dearth of spend analytics. Where are you spending? How many non-PO invoices? What is the percentage there? What you can do to correct it? Frequent TAT breaches in terms of payments, in terms of PO issuance, PO acceptance, invoice submissions, enormous mail follow-ups, as I was saying. And in the end, your vendor experience goes for a toss. That's just the tip of it. But what we are doing to correct it is that we have again developed a very, very highly customizable and very intelligent accounts payable tool, which we call Pearl. The features and core function of this tool are, it automates your PR to PO process completely. It has a vendor portal where you can onboard vendors. It has the way where vendors can really come and submit all the invoices online. They can track where their particular invoices, no need for sending so many mails for invoice submission, or even following up with the finance department for any kind of invoice tracking. Invoice to payment automation, right? When the invoice hits the Pearl, after that, even verifying those invoices, making sure the invoices are done with deduplicacy checks and multiple other checks that they go through. You are making the right payment. That's the clarity it brings about. You can, as I was talking about, online invoice tracking and approval automation. So once the invoice is submitted, there is a workflow built in it. It happens completely online from all the users to HOD and till finance. And from there, it also goes and sits in your ERP as a silent posting. It does that all on its own. There are live dashboards. You can see vendor wise, you can see location wise, you can see HOD wise, user wise, where the money is going, how many invoices are pending, it's been how long the invoices are pending, why are they pending, and if there are any duplicate payments that I've done that I've done in the past by the department, how to control that. All those best practices gets applied here. And then there are smart alerts and notifications. You know, there is invoice in your queue and you still, you did not get the time to approve it or you forgot to approve it. It will send you those reminders in your emails, in your mobile phone to approve that invoice within the tag. So it makes sure that the end-to-end cycle, right from PR to PO till the payment is done, is managed in a very, very seamless, very transparent, and very, very synced up way with your ERP, and also with lesser resources absorbed during this entire process, and more of satisfaction that it generates for your vendor, more so for your own employees when it does their job easy. These are some features, the complete features, I would say. PR to PO, online creation of purchase orders, e-approvals of purchase requests, and then PO generation basis purchase request, online submission to the vendor, online acceptance. There is a vendor portal, vendor onboarding can happen online. There are online invoice submission by the customer, deduplicacy check happens online, real-time status of invoice as I was talking about. Online invoice approval and tracking, this entails submission by the vendor, submission by the user to the further authority or the HOD for the approval. There are e-validation and the processing of invoices, centralized repository for all the invoices, reports, and dashboard. And when it comes to the value addition, what we provide is a highly configurable workflow, audit trail for all the transaction, for that control that you've been longing for. SLA tracking at each stage. You can define that at each of these stages and it will track the SLA, will escalate if the SLAs are breached, and will give you those insight in the form of those highly interactive reports that you can see which department is really breaching SLAs multiple times or which department is really doing great in terms of SLAs. You can further use it as departmental scorecards. You can recognize them for their good work and you can coach them if there are areas of opportunity. Multiple touch points with the ERP integration. It is completely integratable with almost all kind of ERPs, live dashboards, spend analytics, as I was talking about. Where is the money going? What kind of invoices are getting delayed more and more? You know, how many without PO invoices are coming? What's the balance remaining in the POs so that you can issue a PO on time, you can amend a PO on time without further delaying these processes and spending more and more man hours into this. What this does, you see, you saw this process. What this Pearl does, it brings in this process into, again, a transformed process. This is again a straight through process, and this we do with the help of OCR and image analysis. Once the invoices are submitted into the vendor portal, auto content extraction happens with the help of OCR technology. From there is an auto data validation. There are multiple hierarchy approvals. Everything happens automatically. And then there is an auto posting into your ERP. And from there, you can definitely go ahead and make the payment. And if you want even payments to be automated, even that can be taken care of. What it brings, a lot of accuracy, on-time processing. On top of that, vendor delight. Now, I'm sure we are talking about where does the hard copy goes. So the thing is, you don't have to wait for the hard copy to process a vendor invoice into Pearl. But yes, hard copies, if still are required, then we also provide mailroom where all the hard copies are collected and secured and stored in a safe way. And the physical scanning happens from there if required. And there is, if there are certain manual interventions, because even OCR is not perfect till now. So there are certain manual intervention that happens on these stages. Everything gets managed in a very, very seamless, very, very transparent, and very, very efficient way. There are robust checking and record management that happens. It changes your process from manual to completely automated. It does faster processing. It gives you visibility and tracking, and it helps in accurately accounting. And of course, a lot of compliance that you have to abide by. This helps you do that. It brings in 60 to 70% automation into your input into your invoice submission vendor portal process. It brings you 90% automation when we talk about processing that particular invoice, which is a very, very high, I would say very, very high ratio of automation that you can really bring in. And just think about the efficiency, this 90% automation gonna bring in. And when it comes to record keeping, it can bring further 70% automation into the entire process. This is how we help in digitizing your your payable processes. And this is how it makes the life easy for your vendors, for you, for your employees, and for the organization. And in the end, what it provides, a lot of efficiency, a lot of cost savings, and a lot of standardizing into your entire process. And we haven't really stopped here. What we have done, we have gone a step ahead. You have seen this. Now we have gone ahead and reimagined this entire process. Up to here, you have seen in the previous slide. What we have done, as I was talking into our introduction slide solution, we also have M1 Exchange, which is a trades platform, supplier financing platform. And then we also have M2, which is Mind FinServe, it's an NBFC. So we can further integrate this entire process, this entire workflow with our M1 and M2 teams, where you can really enjoy the discounting. Your vendor can enjoy the discounting, where the payment happens to the vendor much before the due date, and you still get to enjoy your credit term that vendor has provided you. This is further enhancing the experience of your vendors. This is further transforming your payables process and notch ahead. How it happens is explained in the further slide, which I will not really bore you with a lot of details. But this is really something that transforms your AP process right from the PR to PO till the payment happens. And minded, the payment happens much before the due date, and you don't pay that, right? And this gives you an edge when you are discussing with the vendors, negotiating with the vendors. This gives you an edge in your negotiation power. When you're talking about making payment beforehand, before the due date, I'm so sorry, not beforehand, before the due date, then you have that leverage. Then you can really enjoy while talking to your vendor, and you can ask for the better rates. You can ask for some discounts, which vendors, which will be, I'm sure, will be pleased to extend that kind of support once they know the kind of payment terms and the kind of faster payments and the kind of visibility that you will bring in for them, where they don't have to depend upon the phone calls or the emails or coming to your offices, meeting somebody in person just for the payments. It all is available on the click of a button. That's how fast, that's how convenient it is. How the reimagined process happens, this is the complete details. Very quickly, you see here, there's a vendor receives the PO, the material, the services is delivered. From there, it's a classic process. The invoice is uploaded into our Pearl. As I mentioned, you don't have to wait for the hard copies to start the process. From here, there are two-way and three-way match that happens so as to make sure that there are no incorrect payments that are getting processed. From here, the Pearl is integrated with your ERP, continuously pulling and pushing the data from and to the ERP. Pearl here also gives you an option to say yes or no to discounting. And if you say yes, from there, it integrates the entire invoice processing cycle to our M1 and M2 entities, which in turn helps you to make those payments faster to your MSME and also to your non-MSME invoices. And when the payment happens before due date, you can just imagine about how happy your vendors will feel. And this all is digitally enabled. So there is no more papers to be going through. There are no more emails and calls and follow-ups that your vendors will do. When I say no more, I'm talking about up to 90-95% of reduction. There will still be few people who are comfortable calling. So yeah, we'll have to deal with those people. And then if you still say that the discounting is not needed, then this entire workflow again work as a very, very classical one, the way I showed in this slide. That's how it works. The discounting is not needed. And the payment then gets done by you, depending upon the credit term of that particular vendor. And of course, as per your cash flow planning. What it does, 47% reduction further in your manual task, 49% improved analytics. These are the numbers out of from a study of ardent partners. And a process like this brings you this kind of benefits. These are just a glimpse of those benefits. There are multiple other tangible and intangible benefits, but it makes your process more than 76% smart in terms of how you're doing it now and how will it get delivered in future. Ease of operation that comes towards your team, better work-life balance for your teams, 52% improved way of operations when you engage in these kind of transformation in your account payables, or let's say in your account receivables as well. And when we talk about lower cost, it gives you up to 28, and it can go up to 30 to 35% as well. Cost savings, what you're spending now and what you'll be incurring then. And I would say yes, that's a very big criteria when it comes to cost savings. 28% to 35% of cost saving, but there are many intangible benefits. It is making you future ready. Nobody could predict Corona, and I pray to God that these kind of things don't happen again. But we can't control it. But when they do happen, they call for a lot of synergy. They call for a lot of forward thinking, and that thinking you cannot do at that time. It's about doing it much before it is supposed to be done, so that you are ready when that moment comes. So, as in the words of Mr. Jiddu Krishnamurthy, transformation really can only take place immediately. The revolution is now, not tomorrow. It's very important to think towards transforming and digitizing your entire process. And we at Mind will be happy to help you there, ideate, conceptualize the solution, and be part of this journey with you. That is it from my side. Hope I did not take much of your time. And if you have further questions or any queries about this, or about any other topics that I've spoken about, please do post it into Q&A section. Thank you so much for your time. Stay indoors, stay happy, stay safe.